Throughout the course of history, there have been years so catastrophic that they have left scars on humanity. Years of darkness, famine, plagues, wars, moments where the world seemed to be on the brink of collapse. Today, we will journey through time and explore some of the worst years ever known to us, beginning with what is often considered the darkest year in recorded history. The worst year ever. 536 AD. Imagine waking up one morning to find the sun had seemingly disappeared. This wasn't a single day of darkness. This was 18 months of it. In 536 AD, a mysterious fog plunged Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia into a cold, dark winter that seemed never-ending. The year 536 AD. It wasn't just another year, it was, by many accounts, the worst year to be alive. What made 536 so devastating? According to historians, this year was marked by a series of volcanic eruptions that sent ash clouds across the northern hemisphere, blocking out the sun. For nearly 18 months, much of the world was cast into an eerie darkness. Byzantine historian Procopius wrote, "The sun gave forth its light without brightness like the moon during this whole year." In Ireland, chronicles reported a failure of bread from 536 till 539. Tree ring studies from across the world confirm this wasn't poetic exaggeration. Scientists have found evidence that a massive volcanic eruption in Iceland spewed ash across the northern hemisphere, creating what we now call a volcanic winter. Ice core samples from Greenland confirmed this environmental catastrophe. Trapped within the ice, volcanic ash traces tell the story of these devastating eruptions. The chilling effects of this volcanic winter led to mass crop failures. Starvation swept across regions, sparking famines that took countless lives. Temperature on Earth dropped 2.5 degrees Celsius, or 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit, causing snow to fall on China during summer. Historian Michael McCormick called 536 the worst year to be alive. And he wasn't wrong. Civilizations crumbled, trade routes vanished, and humanity seemed to teeter on the edge of extinction. Some estimates suggest that up to 75% of the population in certain regions died from famine in the years following 536. While 536 might claim the title of worst year in recorded history, here are 5 other contenders that brought humanity to its knees and forever changed the course of history. The period from 1347 to 1351, the Black Death. The years between 1347 and 1351 marked the height of the Black Death, one of the deadliest pandemics the world has ever seen. The bubonic plague swept through Europe and Asia. As many as 50 million people perished, or around 50% of Europe's 14th century population. Some numbers suggest that the fatality reached as high as 200 million people. Entire cities were wiped out, economies collapsed. It would take centuries for the world to recover from this catastrophe. Year 1816, the year without a summer. In 1816, the world faced another year of darkness, known as the year without a summer. A massive eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia had thrown so much ash into the atmosphere that global temperatures plummeted. Crops failed in Europe and North America, causing widespread famine. People were forced to leave their homes, searching for food and shelter in unfamiliar lands. Although precise death tolls are difficult to determine, historians estimate that hundreds of thousands may have died globally from famine, disease, and social unrest. Year 1918, the Spanish flu pandemic. The year 1918 was supposed to bring the end of the First World War, but it brought another enemy instead. The Spanish flu pandemic swept across the globe, infecting 1/3 of the world's population and killing an estimated 50 to 100 million people. Unlike many pandemics before it, this one didn't just target the weak or elderly. It took the lives of young, healthy adults, leaving behind a global trail of devastation. For reference, the total death toll from World War I, which ended in 1918, is estimated to be around 15 to 20 million military and civilian deaths combined. Together, the Spanish flu and World War I claimed nearly 5% of the global population. Year 1931, China's Great Flood. Next on the list is the year 1931, when one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history devastated China. The Great Flood of 1931 struck the Yangtze and Huai rivers, triggered by extreme weather conditions. Unusually heavy snow in the winter and intense spring rains led to the overflow of major rivers, submerging vast areas of land. The flood claimed the lives of 1 to 4 million people, with tens of millions more displaced. Many died not just from drowning, but from famine, disease, and the chaos that followed. The floodwaters contaminated drinking supplies, spreading diseases like cholera and typhoid, worsening the crisis. Entire cities were submerged, crops were destroyed, and starvation swept across the country. This was a dark moment in China's history, one that left deep scars and brought unimaginable suffering. The period from 1943 to 1945, devastating years during World War II. World War II, spanning from 1939 to 1945, stands as one of the most catastrophic periods in human history, marked by unimaginable destruction, genocide, famine, and the loss of tens of millions of lives. Among these dark years, 1943 and 1945 emerged as two of the most devastating. In 1943, the world was gripped by horrors on multiple fronts. The Bengal famine in British India claimed the lives of 2 to 3 million people as starvation and disease ravaged the region. On the battlefield, the Battle of Stalingrad, one of the bloodiest conflicts in history, ended in early 1943, leaving nearly 2 million dead and cementing the year as one of unparalleled suffering for soldiers and civilians alike. This year also saw the peak of the Holocaust. The Nazis' systematic genocide aimed at eradicating groups they deemed inferior or a threat to their ideology. This included Jews, Romani people, disabled individuals, Slavs, political dissidents, and others. Yet 1945 would eclipse even the darkest moments of 1943. The final year of the war saw the shocking atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which obliterated cities and killed over 200,000 people. The global toll didn't end there. Millions across Europe and Asia were displaced, famine swept through war-torn regions, and diseases ravaged already weakened populations. By the time the war ended, between 70 to 85 million people had perished, which was around 3 to 4% of the global population at the time, making 1945 the devastating culmination of one of humanity's darkest and most tragic chapters. These years remind us of humanity's fragility and resilience in the face of unprecedented catastrophes. Whether caused by nature, human conflict, or a combination of both, each of these periods reshaped human society and left lasting impacts that we can still trace today. From each of these tragedies, humanity has endured, rebuilt, and strived for a better future. And there you have it. Some of the worst years in history that truly tested humanity's resilience. If you found this historical journey fascinating, you're in for a treat. Our channel is packed with intriguing videos just like this one, so feel free to explore and discover interesting topics there. See you in the next video.